Hey, what's going on, YouTube? What I want to talk about today is Brian David Mitchell, aka Emmanuel David Isaiah, and his woman, Wanda Barzee, if you want to call it a woman. I call it more like his pet, because she pretty much would roll over whenever he said roll over, would bark if he said bark, or whatever. Anyway, he's the creepy predator that broke into Ed Smart's home back in like 2000, early 2000s. I'm not sure exact date. Don't really care about the exact date. I just know it was a pretty messed up incident, and the whole world knew about it. Went viral pretty fast. He cut a screen, went into their house, and took Elizabeth Smart right out of her bedroom at knife point. And her sister had woken up during this because she was sleeping in the room with her at the time. And he said, "If you scream, I'm gonna kill your whole family." So the 9-year-old girl was terrified, which who wouldn't be at that age? And she let her parents know a couple hours later after she thought it was safe, and the guy was gone. And it was a big story, it was just all over. It was all over the world. It was like global, like instantly. And for a minute, these idiot cops sort of took the whole Smart family in separate rooms and started questioning them to see if like the family did anything, if the dad killed her, or the mom, or whatever. But they were quickly ruled out. I guess that you have to go after the family and stuff like this. Sometimes it is the family, but not all the time. This family, if any, no way in hell would they have ever had anything to do with it. This is a wonderful, wonderful, good family. Just great. Ed Smart, his kindness kind of led it to all this happening. He would hire homeless guys to come over and do various jobs at his house, work on the roof or whatever stuff needed in the yard. But, he just always would lend a helping hand. Just a really nice guy, and that scumbag, Brian David Mitchell, happened to be one of them. He came over and did a job on the roof or something. It was just a one-day thing. And what's weird is he was clean shaved at the time. So after that day, 10 months later, whatever the hell he did, he had a transformation, grew long hair, a big beard, and changed his name to Emmanuel David Isaiah. And he took Elizabeth Smart and said, "You're going to be my wife. The Lord commanded that you will be my wife. You will obey me." And all this horse shit, bullshit, named her some kind of sheer job. Actually, Elizabeth wanted to pick her own name out of the Bible, so she picked Esther. She wanted to be called Esther, I guess, if she had to go by this asshole's rules. But anyway, he had her for 10 months, tethered to a tree, for the better half of the 10 months, at least 5 months. He would pick garbage out. He would go to garbages and get garbage, steal food from places to feed them. His pet wife, Wanda Barzee, would just stay there with Elizabeth, kind of, keep guard on her, while this idiot would go, panhandle or whatever for money. But anyway, he'd get wine and whatever type of drugs or alcohol, and he would force Elizabeth to do these drugs and drink alcohol. And mind you, at the time, she was 14 when he first kidnapped her. And it's a pretty messed up story, man. There's a couple movies on it. They ain't really the greatest. The documentaries are a lot better. The movies are kind of B-type movies. Not really too great. The one guy in the first one, he's from that, I don't know if you guys seen the movie Scream back in the day. But the Scream guy, not the goofy, silly one, but the other guy, I forget his damn name. He plays Brian David Mitchell in the movie, so I guess that's the only okay thing about it. He was kind of a known actor. I don't even know his name, and I pretty much know my actors, so, he played in some stuff, not much, though. I don't know, maybe you guys seen him more. I can't think of the guy's name. Who cares? That's irrelevant right now. But what I want to talk about is, a few times, he started taking her, and he would make them cover themselves in burqas and cover their face, and he would walk around with them, and I don't know. It's just crazy how this dude got away with it. They'd go to homeless centers and eat on holidays and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Thanksgiving they went to some homeless center or a church. Maybe a Christmas dinner or something like that. But it's just amazing that this dude got away with it so long. And one night when he wasn't with them, he actually broke into a church and fell asleep drunk. And he got arrested for burglary. And he spent at least 7 to 10 days in a jail. And he used his little preacher shit out of the Bible and convinced the judge it was a mistake. Please let him out. And mind you, Elizabeth's with Wanda this whole time. They had no idea he wasn't even a suspect yet. And that's what's crazy about all this. This was probably about... I mean, it was coming for him, though. I mean, this was like a sign that it was inevitable he was going to get caught eventually. It was probably like 2 months before they actually found Elizabeth. And it's just amazing that, he just wasn't a suspect yet. And then one day, a month or so, not long after he got arrested and got released, mind you, and he used a fake name. He used a bad name. I don't even know what he used. It wasn't his real name or the Emmanuel Isaiah name. But the 9-year-old, Elizabeth's sister, Mary Catherine is her name. I know I'm not going to get that wrong. But came up to her dad and said, "Dad, I know who it was." And the dad's like, "Well, who?" And she said, "Emmanuel." And he's like, "Emmanuel?" And then he had to think. He's like, "Oh, I remember that guy." But it was, like I said, it was a one-day thing. He came over and worked one day. So, he told the cops, and the cops wanted to keep it on the DL because they had a couple suspects during this time, this 10 months. A really, really strong suspect was a guy named Richard Reese. And they actually arrested him, and they were putting the pressure on him about Elizabeth. Because when they arrested him on some other warrant, when he did work at the smart home also. So, long story short, they arrested him on something else, but they really were wanting to question him about Elizabeth. But when they got to his house and searched it, they found items from the smart house that he had stolen. And he has a couple burglaries on his record, and he would go in the houses in the middle of the night, exactly how Elizabeth got taken. It was just a weird... I mean, he never had kidnapping. This guy wasn't a pedophile or nothing like that, just burglaries. Just the MO fit him. The only thing that didn't fit is why would he take Elizabeth? That's what they were trying to figure out. And, from the get-go, this guy's like, dude, I have nothing to do with it. I wouldn't harm Elizabeth. I know the family. I wouldn't take her. And he was getting super pissed. Like, he was pissed. If you guys want to check out that the Richard Reese interview, I think it's on one of the documentaries, too. But he was so pissed off and all emotional about it. People in jail are probably fucking with him, saying, oh, you fucking child molester. And he really didn't do it, but, that's a crime you don't want to be accused of and locked up with around guys that might have kids and might have lost a kid. You don't know. But he was under so much pressure, this Richard Reese guy, he had a brain aneurysm. I mean, just one night in jail, had a brain aneurysm, and he died. And it was crazy, and they were like... And they were really looking at him as a really strong suspect. They really thought he took Elizabeth, and he didn't. Now, this was before they had... the name of Emmanuel David Isaiah, or whatever the hell, he wasn't even a suspect yet. Richard Reese died, and a couple months later is when Mary Catherine came up to her dad, Ed Smart, and said, it's Emmanuel. So Ed told him, you need to check out, where's this Emmanuel guy? We need to talk to him. And he wanted to go public, and the police said, no, I don't think it's a good idea to go public with this guy yet. We'll look for him, and the Smart's like, he's kind of getting aggravated, like, why not go public? My daughter just told me who it was, and they're, of course it's a 9-year-old girl in the middle of the night. So, I don't know, man. It's just, this whole story is so crazy. But anyways, it was a few weeks, and then it eventually got public. Finally, they made it public. Maybe after a few weeks, maybe even a month, maybe longer. I don't know, but they didn't go public right away with this information. And when they went public, that idiot David Brian Mitchell, his sister happened to be watching the news, And she had called the police. She said, that's my brother. His real name's Brian David Mitchell. I'm sorry. That's his real name. Brian David Mitchell. That's who you're looking for. You know, it's a guy with a big beard now. He's panhandling. He says he's sent here from the Lord and all this shit. And, you know, that's who you're looking for. But they're looking for Emmanuel David Isaiah because they had no idea what his real name was until the sister called in. Then they get the profile. And then they were like, all right, where is this guy? You know what I mean? And he was in the woods. He just moved various spots. I know they moved out of Salt Lake City. And I believe they went to California for a little while. But Elizabeth convinced him to go back to Utah. And, you know, he did. And they went back to Utah, and they were a park, or they were walking around somewhere, and people called the police. Said there's just these weird, creepy, suspicious people. And the police showed up there, and they were asking, who are you? And Elizabeth was just saying, my name's Esther, at first, because he was trying to say it was his daughter, and that's his wife. For a while, so Elizabeth's scared. So the police are like, "Well, we need to separate these guys because this girl seems scared." You know what I mean? So they separated them, and the police got Elizabeth alone. And then finally, when she knew that she wasn't going to get harmed because she was terrified of this guy. I mean, she really believed everything he said, and you know what I mean. It's just a shitty ass story. And God bless you, Elizabeth. You're a strong person. You know, you turned out to be a very wonderful person. I am so sorry this has happened to you. Oh, God, it makes me so upset. But that piece of shit scumbag Mitchell is rotting for the rest of his life where he should be. And what I initially even wanted to talk about was his scumbag wife, Wanda Barzee, who got released after 15 years. They let her out. Elizabeth said there was times where he would basically be raping her. We all know that. I didn't really want to bring that up. But when he was doing it, like Wanda Barzee was so close, like Elizabeth could be touching her. Like she would lay right next to him and just let this go on for months. So to me, she's 100% as guilty as him, which she was, but I don't know why she got out. And it pisses me off, and it sure as hell pissed a lot of other people off. I mean, this is a couple years old now, but I wanted to bring it up. Because it's just unbelievable that they let that lady even walk free again after all this shit. And she was just as involved as that scumbag. And it just really boggles my mind. And I just cannot believe it. She should not have ever been up free. She should have never been up for parole. That lady is a nut job, insane, do what you're told type of person. Just, it doesn't matter what it is. You're going to do it. I believe she never participated, but she would threaten Elizabeth. And, and when the guy would leave to go panhandle, she would sit there and watch her to make sure she wouldn't leave. I mean, basically they tethered her to a tree, though, so she wasn't leaving anyway, but it just blows my mind. I can't believe that woman got released. Insane. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this. And God bless the Smart family. And this is just one of them things that you don't know why stuff like this happens. It's just a damn shame. Damn shame. And may you rot in hell, Wanda Barzee and Brian David Mitchell, scumbags.